Hello, everyone. It's Charlton. I wanted to give you an update on the Nxivm sex cult story. Allison Mack was seen going into and out of court in California to get her ankle monitor put on, I think. And so she's now in California. I don't know how she got to do that because she was originally arraigned in the Eastern District of New York. This all began in Albany. I believe that's where, Keith Raniere's from and where the group is based, Nxivm. And he's being held in a jail in the Eastern District of New York, as I understand it. So he's being held without bail. It details a lot of that, a letter from the U.S. attorney to one judge and an affidavit that talks about the FBI agent who's been investigating this, and Jane Doe 1, Jane Doe 2, who testified before the grand jury that led to the indictments of Mack and Raniere. If I got all that legal language correct. So there's video of her leaving court and in California. She had to put up her own home. Her mom had to put up her home and her mom's retirement account, I believe, to secure the $5 million bond bail to get her out of jail. And they filed a motion to basically delay her speedy trial because she's in negotiations to do a plea deal. And it says in this article that they expect, it to result in the disposition of the case that will not go to trial. So presumably she's going to testify against Keith Raniere, which I think was the intent of her arrest to begin with. I don't know, I don't know. I don't know how. The charges that were against her are severe. She could face up to 15 years in prison. It was sex trafficking, conspiracy to do sex trafficking, and forced labor or something like that. And he has the same exact charges as Raniere. So here we go. Here's the video. Where's the video? And there she is in court, getting her running, trying to avoid cameras. They mob her and stuff like that. They're all around her. I'll show you the video right now. It's a Daily Mail exclusive. And let me get there. Okay. Oops.
Trying to get out of this. Gotta be able to walk, right? Just let us walk.
Were you involved in a sex call?
Well, by protecting him, you're hurting yourself, I think.
Allison, anything to say to the alleged victims and all of this?
You sorry?
Do you want...
Get out of the street, let's see.
Okay, so, and she obviously doesn't look too well there, naturally. So, there's a lot of, there's a fair amount of detail as to what's going on in the case and kind of the Jane Doe and Jane Doe 1, Jane Doe 2, and Allison Mack and how this kind of all went down. Let me just try to cruise through it as best I can. Now, part of her bail, sex cult leader Allison Mack was spotted rushing into a California court on Wednesday to get her ankle monitor just a day after she was released on $5 million bond in order to cut off all contact with members of Nxivm as a condition, photo show, etc. And as part of her release, she was ordered to cut off contact with Nxivm cult members as a condition. It's unclear if this includes Nicki Clyne, who is reportedly Mack's wife and still a member of the cult. Nicki Clyne is also a famous celebrity. She was an actress that supposedly gave up her acting career on actress and comedian on Battlestar Galactica, which I assume is a remake because I remember Battlestar Galactica from when I was a kid. I still like that show. It's like kind of like the TV version of Star Wars, with the guy with the red eye and this thing. I always like that. And so she reportedly gave up her career in acting to join Nxivm, but she's a Canadian national. So in order to stay in the country after she overstayed her visa, reportedly she married Allison Mack, and that's what it says here. Art Voice is one of the outlets that has reported extensively on the story, according to the Daily Mail. Sex cult source Allison Mack married Actress Nicki Clyne to defraud U.S. immigration. But and there she is pictured there again, and there. Okay, and that's India Oxenberg, the daughter of the Dynasty celebrity actress Catherine Oxenberg. Her mom is pictured left, who basically has been working tirelessly to expose Nxivm to try to free her daughter from this cult. And her daughter seems she is one of the most devout followers of Nxivm, and to this day is prepared to take the fall for him. And that's what it says in this Daily Mail piece, which I'll get to hopefully. So Mack's communication via mobile phone and online will be limited to just her attorneys, and she will be placed on house arrest at her mother's California home. It says on Tuesday, Mack was seen walking out of Brooklyn federal court with her legal team before making her way through a scrum of waiting photographers and reporters. She was able to secure bond thanks to her mother putting up her house as collateral along with a retirement account, in addition to Mack's New York home in Clifton Park, which is that's her mom's home. And it says it seems unlikely that Nxivm founder Keith Raniere will be striking any deals with the U.S. Attorney's Office, who successfully petitioned to have Raniere held without bail in a letter to the court stating that the cult leader had sexual relationships with two minor females aged 15 and 12 in the past. So he's held without bail, I believe, in the Eastern District of New York and a Brooklyn jail. And the allegations against Raniere and Mack were outlined in a complaint and affidavit in support of arrest warrant that was filed back in February. Special Agent Michael Lever with the FBI had been investigating Raniere, speaking with former cult members, including two women known as Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2. Lever states that Raniere came up with an idea for Nxivm's sex slave program known as DOS, D-O-S, during the summer of 2015. And then it goes on to tell you how he, made these women make vows and reveal things that could be damaging to them, and put it in paper in like a contract. And he started with Allison Mack. It says here a woman by the name of CC1, which has been revealed that that's Allison Mack in subsequent filings, was his first slave and provided collateral which guaranteed she would remain faithful to him by providing Raniere with damning material. CC1 email was titled The Vow and included an attached letter. CC used the term slave and master to refer to herself and Raniere. Moreover, the letter identified collateral to cement the vow made by CC1. CC1 is Mack. The collateral was described as, number one, a letter regarding CC1's mother and father that would destroy their character. Number two, a contract that transferred custody of any child birthed by CC1 to Raniere if CC1 broke her commitment to Raniere. Number three, a contract that transferred ownership of CC1's home if the commitment to Raniere was broken, and a letter addressed to social services alleging abuse to CC1's nephew. Okay? I don't know if that's saying, I don't know what it's saying. That's what it says. Okay. So, soon, CC1 was recruiting slaves of her own and filling out the pyramid that Raniere had hoped to create, selecting Jane Doe 1 as one of these women. And Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2 testified before the grand jury that led to the indictments of Mack and Raniere, which allowed the federal authorities to arrest them, as I understand it. And, this is the letter from the U.S. Attorney Richard Donahue to Judge Stephen Gold back in March. According to a confidential source, the defendant had repeated they're talking about Raniere. Raniere's alarming and illegal sexual predilections. According to a confidential source, the defendant had repeated sexual encounters with multiple teenage girls in the mid-late 80s and early 90s. In one instance, the defendant met a 15-year-old girl while he was in his 20s and had repeated sexual contact with her. In another instance, the defendant met a 12-year-old girl whose mother worked for the defendant and began tutoring her. The letter goes on to say shortly thereafter, the defendant began having regular sexual intercourse with her, including at his home where he lived with multiple sexual partners. Raniere is also said to have voiced his belief that it's all sick stuff. It's terrible, man. So now, but also several of his female slaves or cult members are talking to take the fall for him and basically deny that they've been coerced into anything. It says Raniere could be spared from serving any time, though, with a former publicist for Nxivm telling DailyMail.com that member India Oxenberg, which is this woman here, and these women are attractive women with futures. She's wealthy, and they have nothing to worry about financially, and they're doing, it's just crazy, absolute madness. So that India Oxenberg has said she is willing to take the fall for Raniere if it will keep him out of prison. Frank Parlato, who has been covering Nxivm extensively at Art Voice, said the female members of the cult have devised a plan that they hope will save Raniere. First, all female members are prepared to deny that they were forced or coerced into performing sexual acts and attempt to discredit any allegations made by 2 former members whose grand jury testimony resulted in the indictments of Mack and Raniere. And if that doesn't work, India Oxenberg is prepared to testify that they alone were responsible for coercing members into having sex, claims according to that reporter. So they're ready to say that they were the ones who forced him. And, but this is Mack, Oxenberg, and Clyne have made a pact to go to prison, saying privately they were ready to walk into prison tomorrow if Raniere could be free today. Reports, according to that same reporter from Art Voice. Now, that's, I think, before, Allison Mack was in talks with prosecutors to do a plea deal. And that's the story there. Hopefully you could bear with my terrible reading. And thanks for watching my channel. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. And I will see you in the next video, man. Later.